Far and away the biggest story in sports right now, if you want to consider pro wrestling sports, is in fact what is going on with AEW right now. Okay, now the Fed was just over in Wales and had a big stadium show, but the only thing that everybody's talking about right now is one of the many things that has been absolutely buck wild about the sport in 2022. Like this little list here, okay? I don't know who this person is, but pretty much summarized everything that's gone sideways so far this year. Vince McMahon retiring after sexual allegations, and yeah, maybe stealing some money from the Fed proper and then just being deuces, okay? I'm just about 77, I'm gonna go retire. It's just going to be funny when that investigation finally wraps up and then he comes back to assume his mantle. I don't know, because everybody's got their official titles now. They got all of their big promotions, but I wonder if there's an out or if there's a clause in there, a VKM clause that says once the old man feels like coming back, everybody can just shuffle down the totem pole, okay? He's not done with the business until he's dead and gone into the fucking ground. You can quote me on that, okay? But yeah, that happened, and Cody Rhodes, Runnels, whatever the fuck it is, okay, being led around by his wife, left AEW after being an EVP, only to return, and then, yeah, actually put on some good matches from what I hear, but yeah, no, because that big stink years ago at this point, okay, had the fake prop of him with a sledgehammer, destroying a throne, and then coming back to a hero's welcome, only to be bossed around by the guy that he was mocking at that time. Had a little bit of a awkward situation there, but it's just business. It's just business, right, guys? Anyways, yeah, and then Stone Cold after, WrestleMania 19? I remember that match. That was a perfect match. Why'd you have to come back and do an unannounced brawl around the arena? Then again, it was also with Kevin Owens, who's probably one of the most talented guys in the business. So yeah, no, he got to go out on top, main eventing WrestleMania one last time. A little weird, but okay. Sasha and Naomi walk out and still haven't come back. Don't really know what they're fucking waiting for at this point, but hey, whatever. MJF, yeah, masterfully returning, okay, setting up everything. It's another reason why I didn't want to really tackle this subject that we're going to be talking about, the whole CM Punk gimmick, because I thought maybe it was going to be a work, because back when MJF, cut the promo and he said the fuck word on television, and then Warner Brothers got big mad because it's not like they haven't been through the wrestling business before. Like, guys, it's the fucking thing. There's a tape delay, and then they just bleep it out, or whatever. Somebody will pay a fucking fine. Don't worry about it. It's TV 14 for a fucking reason. An F-bomb, might end up slipping out every once in a while. Don't get fucking, mad about it or anything. But he was taken off air. He was sent home and all that shit, only to come back and immediately be put first in line for a title shot. Yeah, no, definitely. There was a whole bunch of shit that was going on, okay? Different from what was being put out in the press, okay? Triple H ends up taking over, the Fed right now, which is just going to be funny. I've laid out my position on that. It's like, yeah, he did good work with NXT when he had to write only just a couple of top guys and a couple of different storylines before they got shuffled up into the main roster. We'll see how everything works out, because if you take a look at the ratings right now, it looks like there's a set amount of wrestling fans that are willing to tune into programming every single week, and there's not a lot of fucking movement that's in there right now. There was a little bit of a bump at the beginning, but it's more or less just settling into the fucking norm. 2 million people watch Raw, 2 million people watch SmackDown, 1 million people watch AEW Dynamite, okay, and 6 people watch fucking Dynamite, sorry, the Rampage. No, Rampage. Damn it. They watch. Yeah, that was the joke. Nobody watches fucking Rampage, okay? And then we get into what happened over the weekend, okay? The AEW's big event, All Out. Now, I'll be completely fair, okay? So far this year, I've watched, their big events, their big pay-per-views. I've watched Revolution. That was pretty good. Didn't watch Double or Nothing, where Punk initially won the title. Forbidden Door was fine, I guess. I don't really remember a whole lot, and the whole Katsuyori Shibata cameo didn't really pay off and hasn't really translated to much in New Japan, but I guess, okay, whatever. And then, yes, All Out happened this past weekend, and it wasn't for the fact that, the match card didn't really tickle my fancy all that much, even though, okay, I did watch a little bit of the television product that they put out when Kenny Omega came back, because now he's my guy. He's my favorite worker right now in that company, okay? So he came back after a long layoff, so yeah, no. That was all cool and shit to see him back, because there's a lot of good matchups, including a theoretical match with Punk down the line, which would have been really fucking cool. But there was a thing that happened. A thing that happened after the event, which was apparently pretty decent, all things said, and that's why, as you can see over there on the side, over the past, well, since Sunday, and Punk in sports, 100,000 fucking tweets. That's like election news shit on Twitter, okay? That is significant mileage, and it's all stuff to do with CM Punk in this situation, okay? And if you don't know what I'm talking about specifically, it came during the press conference, after the fact. All right, this was the little media scrum that WWE ended up lifting, but Tony Khan brought in when he first started to do AEW and all that stuff. Okay, it's kind of in character, out of character. It all depends on who's up there at the stage, whether or not they want to take it in full. And you know, before all the fallout of this stuff started to happen, it was just one of these things where it's like, okay, CM Punk's just going to be fucking CM Punk at the end of the day. So he's going to be kind of a little bit of a spurg. Okay, he's going to make it all about him. At least he wasn't wearing a fucking abortion t-shirt at this time around. It's like, okay, you're a literal adult pretender. You're an adult pretending stuntman, okay, not taking anything away from you, okay? You cut yourself up real nice, and it was a lot of blood for your hometown audience, okay? The entire company was basically centered around getting you to come back to professional wrestling because they run so many, AEW we're talking about, they run so many important events in Chicago, and CM Punk you can't mention in the same breath without mentioning, hey, do you know he's from Chicago? And he was one of the big three people that Tony Khan said that he wanted to sign when he first started the company. Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, and CM Punk. He got all three of them, and unfortunately, he got all three of them because now he has to deal with the overinflated ego, okay, the self-centeredness of CM Punk. He was warned, okay? I remember seeing some articles. I couldn't find them for this, but some people were, you know what, not really all that concerned back when Punk first debuted. This is from the Fed side of this stuff, saying that, hey, now you can have everything that goes along with Punk as well, okay? And this is kind of what they were meaning, and let's just listen to some of this.
My time, and this is a fucking business. Why I'm a grown-ass adult man and I decide not to be friends with somebody is nobody else's fucking business.
I think he's talking about Colt Cabana. They used to be like real tight, okay, when they were back in the indies back in the early to mid 2000s before Punk got signed to the Fed. They were a tag team, they were close friends, and yeah, no, it's one of those things, right? And he has to address this at one point or another, okay, and he has to know that these types of questions are coming. It would be like if Mark Hamill, another person very, very, very similar in personality to CM Punk, if he would get spurgy about answering questions about Luke Skywalker at this point, okay? You have to expect that's what's coming, so we'll just continue.
But my friends, if I fall backwards, will catch me. Scott Colton, I felt, never would have.
Oh my God, he used his real name. It's so cool.
My problem was I wanted to bring a guy with me to the top that did not want to see me at the top, okay? You call it jealousy, you call it envy, whatever the fuck it is. My relationship with Scott Colton ended long before I paid all of his bills. I have every receipt. I have every invoice. I have every email. I have the email where he says, and I quote, "I agree to go our separate ways. I will get my own lawyer and you do not have to pay anymore." That's an email.
Okay, but what does this have to do? Because I'm sure the missing kind of the context at the beginning of this as well. Because Colt Cabana is also signed to AEW. He was signed to AEW way before Punk ended up showing up. I think it was, it was even before everything got locked down. Okay, he made his debut. The pay-per-view just before the big lockdown. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Okay. And then because Tony Khan also bought Ring of Honor, if you know, all this kind of stuff. He ended up moving from one roster to another, okay, still within the company and all that stuff, and Colt Cabana has deep ties to Ring of Honor, so it all kind of makes sense, even though he was in one group in AEW that has kind of gone nowhere at the speed of smell, mostly because their leader died, and then they just didn't really have a direction after that. But regardless, I'm pretty sure that the question was, did you have anything to do with, or do you know the circumstances behind Colt Cabana shifting over to Ring of Honor, which is just kind of a rudderless company as well, and probably another if AEW doesn't turn out of this fucking tailspin that it's on right now. Is going to be another one of those big notches that's in there. Okay, Tony Khan buying Ring of Honor and then just having a scatterbrained approach to creative, and then, you know, it CM Punk, AEW's Vince Russo.
That I have. The only reason the public did not see is because when I finally had to countersue him through discovery, we discovered he shared a bank account with his mother. That's
Got him.
a fact. And as soon as we discovered that fact and we subpoenaed old Marcia, he sent the email, "Oh, can we please drop all this?"
Why are you trying to dunk on a dude's mom, you fucking weirdo? This was years and years ago at this point, and you're still this big mad about it? Like, oh my god, this is a reason, okay? I've said this before, okay? Don't do business with guys who are short in women and money, because they will sell you out for either at a moment's notice, okay? And just another couple of qualifiers out there, me personally, I don't associate with, I don't do business with, and I'm not friends with raging leftists or feminists, and CM Punk, both of them, and for reasons just like this.
Now, it's 2022. I haven't been friends with this guy since at least 2014, late 2013.
But it sounds like you think about him an awful lot.
And the fact that I have to sit up here because we have irresponsible people who call themselves EVPs and couldn't fucking manage a target, and they
See, this is where it starts to get a little bit weird, okay? The vernacular here, EVPs, he's talking about three people specifically. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. Those are the three that are left. Cody was at the time, okay? Nobody took his place, okay? And then he's also going to name drop somebody else who, when he initially came back from injury, okay, because he won the title in, when was that? Oh, right, Memorial Day long weekend, right? So in May, worked for a week, got his foot hurt, had to go for surgery, and then came back a couple of weeks ago at this time, and then immediately made a call out to the guy that he won the title off of, okay, or Adam Page, who wasn't even at the arena, called him out, and then called him a coward for not answering his call out. Like, again, all of this stuff, okay, if we weren't getting all of this follow-up from the press, and I use that fucking very lightly when we're talking about wrestling news and coverage, okay, that all could have been a work, it could have been for a bigger thing, but it really didn't make any sense in context. It's like, okay, you're immediately coming in to unify the belt because there's an interim champion, and Paige has nothing to do with this. Like, are you trying to set up something for the future? That's where the title program is going to be going after that, but it's like, that didn't make a lot of sense at the time, and then the stories came out afterwards that Paige wasn't even there, and that was completely off script. It's like, oh, we're going to be getting a very unhinged, just kind of a regular take of Punk because, I don't know, somebody got him a little upset about something. It's like, this is how a 40-year-old man acts.
Spread lies and bullshit and put into a media that I got somebody fired when I have fuck all to do with him.
I don't think that they said that, but okay, if you want to, again, this is what happens when you just live in an alternate reality, when you think everything bad in life happens to you, and you're just merely a passenger in the car along the highway that is your life. Whatever.
Want nothing to do with him. Do not care where he works, where he doesn't work, where he eats, where he sleeps. And the fact that I have to get up here and do this in 2022 is fucking embarrassing.
No, this is kind of embarrassing because it could have just been answered with one fucking line, but you do you, my guy.
And if y'all are at fault, fuck you. If you're not, I apologize. But what did I ever do in this world to deserve an empty-headed fucking dumb fuck like Hangman Adam Page to go out on national television and fucking go into business for himself? For what? What did I do, Dave? What did I ever do?
What the fuck are you talking about, okay? Like, I know, I don't watch the product all the time, okay? But I normally read reports and I keep up to date on this type of stuff, but I didn't see Paige really talk about anything. And these guys with just such fragile fucking egos, right? Like, we'll just let the last 5 seconds play because I got a nice little, part of a promo that was played, what would that be, last Wednesday as well. It really just kind of encapsulates all this stuff.
Didn't do a goddamn thing.
Okay, so we didn't really need any of that, but that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so we got a Moxley promo here. At least the last 10 seconds somebody had clipped out, and I seen that when I was just, running through all the different coverage that's there, making sure that I'm as up to date as possible, because by the time that this goes out, we'll be right up against it, and the show will be going on, and yeah, I'll be keeping tabs on it. I'm not watching that because way too many fucking commercial breaks on normal television, but this is what Moxley was saying towards the end of his promo before the big face-to-face and whatever. It's like, yeah, we got to sell some tickets or some shit like that, so I'll just let her play.
And that is because CM Punk, fragile ego, fragile body, weak mind, weak spirit. You have
Now, of course, knowing everything that we know about all this stuff, I would have just dismissed that as just being, very hyperbolic, okay? It's a promo, okay? He's going out there, that's Moxley's character, that he calls out everybody for everything that's there, but given the context that it's CM Punk and what we know after the fact, weak mind, weak body, fragile ego, yeah, very much so, because he was describing a former friendship from a decade ago at this point. Like, they've already gone through the legal process, okay? They haven't apparently talked or whatever in a very long time, and that wound is still so raw, and you come into somebody else's house, okay? The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, guys who established this as a fucking viable alternative to the Fed, and then you just want to piss on everything because you've only been there for like a little bit more than a year, and you think that you're just this big fucking, paradigm shifting superstar? Yeah, I don't fucking think so, my guy, because I remember when your pipe bomb went down, and I used to be a very, very hardcore wrestling fan, okay? I heard that thing went down. I didn't watch the product. I didn't tune in on anything of that, okay? And the ratings still continuously went right fucking down, okay? That's not necessarily your fault, but what I'm also saying is you aren't as important to the entire business as your ego would have you believe. But that press conference that we seen there at the beginning, this was the impetus for all of this stuff happening, because after that press conference went on, okay, there was a fist fight that apparently broke out between Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, CM Punk, and Ace Steel. Who's Ace Steel? Okay, I'll just show you a picture. I think he works backstage or something like that. He's a producer or something. Former trainer, trained CM Punk to be a professional wrestler and stuff. They go way, way back. And apparently they started to get into a fight. Like an actual fists are flying, okay, type of situation. And again, hey man, if that was just the scuttle to come out of a pay-per-view, I was just thinking that, hey, it's just to build up to another big program that's going to be happening. Okay, all of that makes sense. But then you start to see reports in the following days, okay? Yesterday was a little bit cloudy. The day before, even more so when all of this news started to come out. And then you get this stuff just leading up to the day. I'm still a little bit skeptical. Could still get bitten in the ass by this. But then we started to get some more news on this. And it's like, oh, okay. I see that this is like kind of legit, okay? AEW members suspended after all-out altercation. An external third party is investigating the backstage incident, according to sources. Ew. All Out press conference revealed one of the dirtiest secrets in pro wrestling from time to time. What happens behind the curtain is more fascinating than what takes place inside the ring. Yeah, no, just case in point what's happening with the Fed right now. The product, outside of some people getting their first names back, which is just such an easy fix and a proper one to do. Don't want to take anything away from that. But more people are now concerned with what's going on with the WWE now that the people behind the scenes have changed. It's not really translating that much when it comes to ratings or anything like that, but more people are talking about it, and the perception and the feel out there is a little bit different than it was beforehand. To continue, that was the case as Sunday night moved into Monday morning. CM Punk spoke at a post-match press conference and took a flamethrower to the AEW locker room, who, before CM Punk showing up, the perception, everything that everybody seen and heard and knew about it was everybody was basically getting along. Like, there were no altercations. There was more camaraderie there than anywhere else anybody had ever seen, okay? And one of the big reasons that some of the big new acquisitions came into the fold was because what happened with Brody Lee back on Boxing Day 2020, okay? When he ended up passing away due to a mysterious illness, and that was something that was happening, okay, over the course of like a month or a few weeks, and none of it slipped out into the media, which is just goes to show you how close and tight-knit that group of people actually were. And until now, over the past couple of weeks, has been the case. Like, there hasn't been anything really negative. It's just a couple of little things. And even when MJF decided to throw his hissy fit back in May, everybody's kind of like, well, if everything's great, I think, and you think that there's a problem there, it's probably you, my guy. And then, yes, as of late, you have CM Punk showing up and being a bit of a bitch, and everybody, including myself, big fan of Eddie Kingston, okay, he gets suspended because he's mad in a wrestling promo because there's some things that you can't talk about, and one of his verboten topics when it comes to working promos is you can't call him fat. Well, if you're insecure about that, don't be fat. It's pretty fucking simple, because he was supposed to have a program with Sammy Guevara, who's a very unlikable person, okay? He might be a great guy, okay? He's got a bad fucking wife right now. Congratulations. All credit to him in the world, okay? And he's an incredible worker. He's just got the personality where he's never really going to be a believable good guy. It's a very unique charisma that he has. And yeah, Eddie Kingston's just kind of that lovable fuck up, okay, who would just come in and they would have probably had a banger of a match, but Sammy called him fat, some offhanded comment about that. He just called him a fat ass or something, that Eddie Kingston lost his mind. This is one of those things that's a little bbit too correlative to really dismiss, okay? Eddie Kingston has been in the business, okay, for like 2 fucking decades. Same with Punk, and then he even stepped away for 7 years. Eddie Kingston was going from place to place, never quite landing at one of the major outlets for at least a significant amount of time. Why? Because backstage, kind of a rabble-rouser, a little bit of a problem. And then if you go back to the things that I was saying, the people I don't like to do business with, people that I won't associate with, okay, just take a look at Eddie Kingston's Twitter bio for just proof of concept on that one. But again, hey, big fan of his work inside the ring, okay? Just the guy on the outside might be a little thin-skinned, just not around the midsection. But yes, CM Punk spoke at a post-match press conference and took a flamethrower to the AEW locker room, laying into fellow wrestlers, specifically Hangman Page, the company's executive vice presidents, who are Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, as well as Colt Cabana. It's like, fucking why, dude? Whatever. The focus on the press conference should have been on the stunning return of MJF. Yes, exactly. And then setting up that rubber match that's there. And that would make all the fucking money in the world. But no. Punk needs the attention on him. He unified the world championship. And now he needs to start picking fights with people that he's not going to be in fucking storylines with. It doesn't make any sense. If you came back and you wanted to give back to the industry, why is it at every opportunity you want to turn that spotlight back on you? Just wondering if that was your mission statement when you first came into the company, okay? You wanted to be all about professional wrestling, okay? You wanted to return it back to the fans. And then at the moment that your feelings get a little bit too hurt, oh, now it's all of a sudden a big conspiracy against CM Punk once again. Interesting. It would be fine if this was totally in storyline, but this is Phil Brooks talking to if you motherfuckers actually like those type of promos, you should be fired out of a cannon. Once Punk exited the press room, he exchanged words in the locker room with Omega and the Bucks, which led to a physical altercation. Punishment for that backstage fight, Sports Illustrated has learned, will include suspensions for every person involved. Oh boy. Okay, the list of those receiving suspensions include Omega and Matt and Nick Jackson. We don't know the length of these suspensions, but those 3 guys are the brand new trios title holders. Okay, they were just crowned on Sunday, and you thought that they would have been setting up storylines going forward, but they aren't going to be on the show, so that's a little fucked. Okay, Pat Buck, another head producer that's down there, no relation to the Young Bucks, right? Christopher Daniels, he's the head of talent, I do believe. Michael Nakazawa, he's tied in with that group as well, and Brandon Cutler as well. So, okay, it looks like maybe Punk and Ace Steel ended up going down directly to that locker room and causing a fuss. I don't fucking know what's going on. Multiple sources have shared that Punk and Ace Steel will either be among those suspended or just flat out fired. Okay, there was supposedly a Zoom call that would have happened earlier today, right about actually it would have been a couple hours before when I'm recording this. So he was Punk and Steel were supposed to be talking to AEW personnel, whatever the fuck that means, okay? But yeah, like it says here, Punk met with AEW owner Tony Khan on Tuesday, but Punk is apparently in Chicago, and the show tonight is going to be in Buffalo, New York. Close-ish, but not really close enough to just get flued out and then flew back for the show, so. For sources, an external third-party investigator will be conducted. Page had already left the building, Sports Illustrated learned, which explained his absence from the altercation. Yeah, otherwise it would have been, what would that be, 6-on-2? Fucking Christ. Punk's fury was ignited during the press conference when he made mention of his former friend Cabana, which, again, this was almost a fucking decade ago at this point, and that wound is still that raw. It's time to fucking move on, my guy. Rumors have circulated that Punk had Cabana moved to Ring of Honor, and Punk clearly believes that those rumors emanated from leaks within the company, possibly from Omega and the Bucks. Why would they want to? Okay, again, these guys are executive vice presidents, okay? It might just be, you know, kind of a fluff title or whatever, but why would they purposefully want to sabotage a company that they're building themselves? Like, that doesn't make a fuck ton of sense, but okay. Punk vehemently denied involved in any facet of Cabana's career, and then, yeah, just went continuously on that spiral that we've seen at the beginning. Remarkably, there could be a positive outcome if Punk and FTR engage in a heated feud. Yeah, if this spins into something. But we kind of got a little bit of a hiccup going in right now because CM Punk sustained a serious injury. Okay, stop me if you've heard this before. Just won the title. Has a serious injury this time, okay, because when he won the title, okay, and then he got injured, I think a week afterwards, because he came in and worked one match and then had a foot injury and then was out for, what was that, like 8 weeks or 9 weeks or something like that? Like, he was out for a little while, but if this is a serious injury from a dive that he did in the match, that was the main event, and he's going to be out for a while. We got another problem here, which fucking sucks because that title, okay, it was given a whole hell of a lot of reverence. So just take a look at the people who have held it before. Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, Adam Page. These guys all had long fucking runs, triple-digit runs, okay? Kenny Omega held it for just about a fucking year. Adam Page had the shortest run, okay? And then he dropped it to Punk. Punk got hurt. That's fine, okay? And then they did that weird interim thing where you didn't really need it because Punk didn't end up missing, okay, any pay-per-views, but whatever. I guess you had that Forbidden Door gimmick where you needed to, you know, just put the title on top. But again, you had a four-way with New Japan. It could have showed good faith. But there are different ways that you could have gone, but you ended up doing an interim gimmick. So now, if he's going to be gone for a long period of time, if he's going to be gone for 6, 8, no, a year, who knows, really? And given the fact that he's north of 40, oh man, it's going to be tough to see. And the fact that he has nuclear heat backstage in a locker room that was once unified and very close-knit, where the fuck do you go? I don't envy Tony Khan in this situation, okay? Because he's been under a ton of heat because, again, with all the different changes that happen at WWE, okay, the perception that things are changing over there, which again, I'll reserve any sort of criticism when it comes to that, because I think that there's more to that than meets the eye, okay? And then the Fed also tampering with contracts, making phone calls to people, and then the Malachi Black situation where he's got a conditional release, or maybe he doesn't, even though he had an entire stable and he was working a bunch of different storylines with a whole host of different people. A little bit fucking weird that goes on there, but it's like they had a nice little thing going. Okay, because when AEW first popped up, okay, they got the Wednesday night slot, and then NXT, WWE's NXT ran by Triple H at the time. They were working Tuesdays, okay, Tuesdays or Thursdays or whatever, and then they just decided, nope, we're just going to be competition for AEW. We're going to snuff you out with the developmental. We're just going to go head to head, and we're going to do 2 hours live on Wednesday to compete with the Dynamite show, and then they got the shit kicked out of them for like 18 months, and then ended up having to slink back to Tuesday nights, run this taped gimmick, and, you know, change everything that was out there. But I remember there was this little memo that was put out at the first thing, and it's like, congratulations to AEW. But remember, guys, it's not a race, it's a marathon. And then, yeah, they continue to get dog walk throughout the rest of the marathon that was there. And then Triple H, just all of a sudden, after he was saying, oh, we don't see them as competition, he made this statement a couple of days ago. Maybe it was at the beginning of their big weekend, even though that, WWE didn't used to run shows over Labor Day, but then all of a sudden, because All Out started to become the Labor Day product, and they would have this big StarCast thing, and it would just go over the entire weekend, all of a sudden, WWE decided to start running Labor Day. Weird. It's almost like they've been the same consistent company since Vince McMahon took it over and started to do all of those shady business practices. Just take a look at what went back with the Survivor Series and Starrcade back in the day for proof of concept on that one. Okay, trying to snuff them out. And then, yes, Triple H saying, oh, well, AEW defeated our developmental. Okay, that's nice. It's like, it's so funny. It's so fucking funny. Okay, you didn't want to hold the L at the time, but then now that you've got the keys to the mansion, okay, it's like, yeah, that product that I was working on before, yeah, they beat us, but that's fine. Now I got access to everything. I've got the billions of dollars where I can just sign people, okay, that I can, try to big time the little guy that's out there, okay, I can meddle in those contracts and nobody will say anything about that, okay, I can get it underneath their skin. And then the people cheering this on right now, it's like, cool, you're cheering for what? Ford or Chevrolet, okay? Because the competition, not competition? Or just scrap that analogy, okay? Cheering for a big company that ended up stealing the ideas of the little company, okay? And then just trying to put them out of business, okay? It's like, yeah, nobody's going to stand outside of the big Walmart box store, okay? Meanwhile, the mom and pop businesses downtown get put out of business, okay? That's what these people are doing on the other side, okay? Cool. Yeah. Cheer for the mega corporation, okay, who just steals the ideas, goes in there and tries to pander to the other fan base, the consumers that are out there with the illusion of a better product. Well, let's just cap this off and see what the hell is actually going on right now. AEW World Champion CM Punk has suffered a serious injury that will require surgery, believed to be from a tope onto Jon Moxley during their AEW World Championship match at All Out. According to Dave Meltzer, there's been rumors since Sunday that Punk was hurt following the match as he is applying ice during his now infamous post-match press conference. Meltzer said, it has been confirmed to me no matter what happens discipline-wise, if him and Steele are going to end up catching a suspension or not, that the title situation has to be changed and addressed tonight. So one's the most stable world title in all of professional wrestling has now been on the carousel for the better part of, half a year at this point. He said the Punk is currently in Chicago, not in Buffalo, where tonight's Dynamite is taking place. Fightful reported that Punk and AEW head Tony Khan meant Tuesday. Meltzer is reporting that both Punk and Steele were scheduled for a 4 p.m. Zoom meeting with AEW personnel today, whatever the fuck that means. He also is reporting that even if Punk isn't fired, he will need surgery and be out for a time, which will necessitate a new champion being crowned. So they are ready right now, okay? Have MJF with the guaranteed title shot, so whatever that is, if they set up an eliminator in order to face him at the next pay-per-view's not until November, I think, or something like that. But they also got the big show. They got that Arthur Ashe Stadium show that's supposed to be coming up here right soon. So, hey, man, it's going to be wild. Okay, whatever does end up happening, it would be fucking amazing. Okay, not in a good way or anything like that, just from a pure shock factor. If Punk ends up getting fired, it could just end up being Steele that ends up taking the fucking L on this one. But yeah, man, long and short of it is, this specter is gonna hang over the top of AEW until something gets fucking ironed out, and it sucks because I like the product. I'm not exactly as engaged as I have been in it, but I've just kind of given up on entertainment. Not in like a defeatist sense, it's just I got better shit to do with my time. But I've seen this pop up, I've talked about AEW a couple of different times. I even sung the praises of Punk when he first came in, even though I'm not even really the biggest fan of him. I just thought he would have been good for the sport, and never would have thought, just a little bit over a year later, we'd be at the point where people are singing the praises unironically of the Fed, and then just taking a look at AEW being like, what the fuck is going on over here? But this is where we're at. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.